Hello, welcome to the tutorial video on how to use Inkscape to design a cake topper. Okay, let's begin. So Inkscape is a vector graphics program and it's available for free. You could do all of this in Adobe Illustrator, but that is really expensive to own and to purchase. That's why we recommend Inkscape because it's free and it's a pretty good program, actually. It's not bad. So if you go to www.inkscape.org, you will see the front page. It looks like this, and there's a download button there, and you can click on it and download the program. This is the program that we use for laser engraving and laser cutting. And I'm going to show you how you can design something and then prepare that for laser cutting. So let me do that. I'm going to switch my screen to Inkscape. Bear with me. All right, let me get this ready here. Okay. All right, so this is Inkscape. Once you've downloaded Inkscape, you can click on the icon and you're going to see something that looks like this. I'll give a brief overview of what you see. On the left-hand side, you see a toolbar. The very top of the toolbar is this black arrow. That's the selection tool, one of the most important tools. This tool I'm going to say a lot. This is the tool that you're going to use for selecting a different object because there could be multiple objects and the program needs to know what you're changing, what you're doing. And right below that black arrow, you have this black triangle. And this is for editing paths by nodes. I will also use this tool, and I'm going to show you how I use it in a couple of minutes. So before I do anything, I need to change the document here to the correct size. I'm going to go to File in the top left corner, and towards the bottom, you will see Document Properties. Click on Document Properties. And the Document Properties tab should open up on the right, or it might open up as a window. Either way, it's still Document Properties. And in the middle of the tab or window, you will see Custom Size. My mouse is circling over that, Custom Size. Before you change the width and height, make sure you change the units. Right now it's in millimeters. I'm going to change it into inches. Why am I changing it to inches? Because I know inches, that's all. And I'm going to change the width to 6 inches and the height to 8 inches. And you notice that my document just got smaller. So this is the general width and height of the building area that you can work with. You can design multiple things in this build area, which is 6 by 8. You can also do 8 by 6 if you want to. And if you want to make something that's bigger than this, feel free to contact us and we can see what we can do. I mean, we do have a big build space. We can see if we can cut out something to your specifications. But yeah, 6 by 8 is the general design. But don't feel afraid to ask for a bigger design if you wish. All right, so now I have 6 by 8. That is good. I'm going to close this. And I'm going to zoom in. I zoom in by pressing the Control key and scrolling my mouse wheel. There we go. So now it's bigger. You can alternatively go to the View tab, click on Zoom, and you'll notice it says Zoom in and Zoom out. So yeah, if you want to zoom in that way, you can do that as well. All right. So I have my 6 by 8 workspace. I can put whatever I want within this workspace here for it to be laser cut. So you can use the tools on the toolbar. There's like a freehand draw freehand lines tool. So if I click on that, and yeah, I can do whatever design. You can do whatever design you wish. There's a square tool. There is a circle tool. There's a bunch of tools here. I'm not going to do all of that because that takes a lot of time for me to draw something, and I'm also not that good at it. So if you want to do that, you can. What I did was I went online and I looked for an image. What I want to do is I want to make a cake topper, and I want to make specifically a a heart cake topper. I have a cake, and I want to put a heart on the top of the cake. It's February. Why not? You know, Valentine's Day, right? It's festive. And I just went online and I looked up for heart images, and I made sure that they were Creative Commons so that I won't get sued, obviously. And I downloaded the image. Now you can download JPEG images, BMP, PNG, you know, those are fine. Ideally, we want a vector image or a bitmap image. But if you get a JPEG or a PNG, that's totally fine. I'll show you how to convert it, right? So I have my image, I have my idea. My idea is to make a cake topper, and I have my image ready to go. So let's begin. So I'm going to import my heart image. File, import. And the very first thing here, there's my heart. And when you import something, you'll get this little menu here. Don't worry about it, just say okay. And now you have a heart here. Now, before I do anything, this is a PNG. This needs to be converted to a bitmap. And I'm going to show you how. Right now, my heart is selected. I know that because it has all these dotted lines and arrows all around it. With my heart selected, I'm going to go to Path. And the third option from the top is Trace Bitmap. Click on that. This window or menu should come up. And in the bottom right corner, you'll see OK. Click on OK. And after doing that, let me see if I can. After doing that, you can close this window. And my heart has turned black, which is generally not a good thing to say out loud, but in this case, the heart has turned black, and that's because that's the bitmap image. So I'm just going to click on my black heart and move it up, and you notice the original heart is there. Click on the original, and you can delete it. Okay, delete it by pressing the delete key. And now I have my heart. You will notice that there are a bunch of these arrows in the corners and the sides. That's for reshaping the heart. I'm going to do that so that it fits within my build space. And you can reshape whatever image you find, however you see fit, so long as it fits within this build space. If you want a bigger build space, please contact us and we'll see what we can do. So now I have my heart. My idea originally, remember, was to make a cake topper. There is no way this heart will just sit there. I need to distort the heart. I need to manipulate the heart so that it can be pierced into the cake itself. I'm going to show you how. So I'm going to click on the Path tab, the very top of the page. I'm going to click on Object to Path. This allows me to edit the image further, and it also helps the laser engraver recognize the design. And then I'm going to click on that second tool that I mentioned at the beginning, the Edit Paths by Nodes tool. It's that black triangle clicking on a blue square. I'm going to click on that, and you'll notice there are a bunch of squares all around the heart. And these squares allow you to change the design that you see. And I'm going to change it like so. I'm going to click on one of the squares. I'm just going to pull it straight down. Yeah, it looks all right. And sometimes it's hard to see, so you're going to have to zoom in. I'm going to grab this other square here. And I'm going to grab this other square here. So now I have my heart cake topper. I have changed it. I've edited it so that I have this little piercing area for me to pierce the cake. Some of you might be thinking this is not the best way to make that piercing section. Maybe it's too thick, maybe it's too thin, maybe it's too long. That's up to you. I'm just showing you how you can do it. I'm certainly not the expert about that. That's more of the culinary field kind of thing. But I'm showing you how you can edit and change it. And please do, if you think you can do better, if you want to do one similar to that, please do. So now I have my heart and I'm finished with that. But let's say I want to add text. Let me check my time to make sure I have time. Yep. All right, so how do we add text? I want to add my initials to this. Let me move my heart down so I have some space to work on text. All right, so on your toolbar, close to the middle of the bar, you'll see this letter A, this big letter A. That's your text tool. If you click on that, you'll notice your cursor has a letter A now. You can click and drag on the build space, and you can make a text box. And I'm going to type, oops, NS. Those are my initials. Before I do anything else, I'm going to change the font to a stencil. That helps with the cutting. And if you notice in the top left corner, there's a big box there for fonts. And right now it says sans serif. There's an arrow there and you can click on it and you'll see there's a bunch of fonts. I want a specific one though. I want stencil, so I'm just going to type it out. Stencil, there it is. I'm going to click on that. And my font has just changed. I'm clicking on stencil because that's just, that font is designed to be cut out, right? Because we're having a laser cutter and all of this is going to be cut out of material. So I want this, I want the N and the S to be cut out and easily recognizable. Okay. Next thing I'm going to do is union them. So I'm going to click on my selection tool. And before I union it, I have to get it ready to be unioned. So I'm going to go to Path, Object to Path. And then I'm going to go to the Node tool once more. I'm going to zoom in here. And I'm going to select the N, the letter N. I'm going to hold down my Shift key. I'm going to select the letter S. I have both of my letters selected, and if you notice there are a bunch of squares here, yeah, you can change it. You can edit and redesign the font, however you wish as well. I'm not going to do that. I'm fine with the stencil font. So now I have my two letters selected. I'm going to go to Path again, and I'm going to click on Union. There we go. And then I'm going to click on the selection tool. And now when I resize my letters, both of them get resized, because they've been unioned together. See, when I move them, they both move together. And that's good. All right. And I'm going to move the font down to the middle of the heart. And just for viewing purposes, because it's hard to see, I'm going to just change the color of the font to something else. Before I move on, you don't really have to worry too much about color in the design process, because remember, I mean, it's not a printer, it's a laser cutter. The cutter doesn't know about color. It only knows color in terms of cutting or engraving. That's it. It doesn't print out any colors. So you don't have to worry too much about what the colors are on the design process. It's just that when you submit your design and you fill out your form, you need to tell us what material you want this to be cut out of, and you need to tell us what color of the material you want. So for instance, I want this heart, let's say I want this heart to be pink. I would submit this design, and on the form, I'll say, thanks FabLab, can you please cut this out from a pink acrylic? And it will. Yeah, we have acrylic in our lab. We have a pink one, I believe. And we'll just take the pink acrylic slab and we'll put it into the engraver, and the machine will cut out the design that I want from that pink acrylic slab. Yeah, so that's how we get color. You don't have to worry too much about the colors on the screen. So now that I have my design, my cake topper, I've made it so that it can easily go into a cake, be pierced into a cake, and I've also put my initials on it. My design process is done. The next thing to do is I have to prepare it for printing, and prepare it for cutting. I always say printing. I have to prepare this cake topper for the laser cutter. And there are very specific instructions for that, and I'm going to show you how to do that. You're going to go to the Object tab at the top of the page, and then you're going to click on Fill and Stroke. Fill and Stroke. And when you do that, this tab should appear on the right-hand side. Now, before you do anything, you want to make sure that you have everything in your design selected, right? Your design is finished. We're just changing the design to get it ready for the laser cutter. So right now, I only have my text selected, not my heart. So I'm going to hold the Shift key. I'm going to click on the heart. And now both my heart and my text are selected. So the first thing you want to do is under the Fill and Stroke tab that we just opened, the first tab is Fill. And under Fill, you'll see this X, this black X here. Click on that. When I click on it, it looks scary. It looks like everything is gone. Do not worry. That's fine. You want to go to the Stroke Paint tab, and there's a blue square next to your X under the Stroke Paint tab. Click on the blue square. You should see the outline of your shape. So basically, the fill is the inside of your shapes, and the stroke is the outline of your shapes. And we don't want any fill, we just want the outline. Remember, the laser cutter just needs to know what the outline is to cut. That's all it needs to know. So now that I have my stroke paint, I need to set it to red, and it needs to be 255, red 255. There are two ways you can do this. The first box, you type in 255, and it's already written here. If you notice in my first box, it says 255. The other way is on this slider here. You can actually click on the slider and drag it all the way to the very end, and if you notice, the same thing happens. It's 255. The box below it is for green, and the box below that is for blue. Leave those at 0. Make sure that there's 0. The only thing that we want is red. And the final box at the bottom is opacity. Just leave that alone. You don't have to worry too much about opacity. So yeah, 255, 0, 0, and the maximum for opacity. That's it. So now that I have my stroke paint, I can go to the Stroke Style tab. Now I'm in the Stroke Style tab. If you notice, the very first row is width. And before I change the width, I need to change the units. The units are in a percentage. It's not very useful to me. So I'm going to click on this arrow, and I'm going to change it to millimeters. Then I'm going to go to width. I'm going to click on the width box. I'm going to type in 0.1 millimeters. And then I'm going to press enter. Now my shape is in the correct width with the correct red color and no fill. All right, and that's about it. So yeah, again, these are the specific instructions for the laser cutter machine, the program and the machine, to know exactly what I want to do. I want the laser cutter to cut out this heart shape, and I also want it to cut out the text that I've made in the middle. So to reiterate, you make sure under the Fill tab, there's no fill. Under the Stroke Paint tab, you only have the color red, and that is red 255. And under the Stroke Style tab, you have width at 0.1, and the units are millimeters. These are very important parameters. If you don't have these parameters, the laser cutter will not recognize it. I mean, we can always help you on our end, but it's important that, you know, when you submit a design, that you follow these correct parameters. So yeah, now we have our design. They're ready to go, and they are at the correct specifications. And so what you would do next is you would go to the Fab Lab page and submit them with the necessary form with all the questions answered. So let's go back to the PowerPoint. Let me check my time here. Okay. So here is an example of other designs that other students have made. We had a class that we taught other students to make cake toppers, and they made these kinds of cake toppers. You notice how they made their own dagger, so to speak, their own sharp end for piercing a pie or a cake. They added initials, they added text, and it also is in the correct red outline, right? No fill, just the red outline. And then you see the product. They got it in orange acrylic, and we just put the orange acrylic in the machine, and the machine did its thing. It cut out the design that they wanted. So yeah, if you want more design resources and you want to know where to submit your designs, you can go to this website here, the Nova Fab Lab page on the Nova website, and I'll give you more information. Yeah, so thank you for joining me on this video. If you want to see more video tutorials, you can go to the Fab Lab page. And if you have any questions, you can either email us at systemic@nvcc.edu, or you can give us a call at 703-530-3505. All right, so thank you, and I hope to see your designs.